Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Clangin and Bangin with Mikey, episode 283. And yesterday I got a massage. I had a cheap meal from Jersey Mike's. Weighed myself, and it's crazy because I weighed myself yesterday morning. I went from 163 in a month to 168. So that just means one thing: I gotta up the cardio. Cause I've been eating in a slightly in a caloric, intake. Like maybe instead of 2,000 calories, it's 2,300. So But what I wanted to talk about today, uh, other than a massage and a cheat meal, I get a Jersey Mike sub like once a month, right? So it was like, yeah. Um, so there's that. I don't really go too crazy with the cheat meals because it's like, you know. But I'm the type of dude like I'll have like certain things like a couple times a month, but majority of the time it's the same foods, you know, week in week out. I might throw in some some pop tarts, some other stuff. Particular workout days because I just need the extra energy. And it also could be the fact that I'm gaining weight because I'm taking a carbohydrate now in like in between my workouts, so maybe that's why. But it's like it's not like I feel fat. It's just like I feel bigger. So hey, scale might be going the opposite way, but but you can't really be concerned about that. It's like it's how you look in the mirror. And right now, I'm looking okay. I definitely need to look better. I wanted to drop down to at least 160, 155, but obviously I went the opposite direction. So that just means one thing: I just gotta up the cardio. Instead of 20 minutes 3 times a week, it's gonna be 30 minutes 4 times a week. You know, and I just gotta hold myself accountable. That's all. That's all it is. Yeah. Because right now my average mile is about 8.5 minutes. You know, I remember back in the day when it was like six, so 6.5. Yeah. So I was back in the day when I was literally running up them fucking stairs, bro. Yeah. So, but it was interesting, man, because it's like everybody I know, for the most part, about a year ago, we were all in relationships, right? And now we're all single. And so, and most of my friends, like who were in relationships now they're all single. Is like we're like, damn, okay, like, you know, it's interesting, being single and like seeing people go through certain shit or go through certain phases. It's like, cause I know dudes just like they got single and these motherfuckers hit the bar, hit the strip club, they went out. They went out every weekend. Oh yeah, talking about that. Congratulations to all the graduates who graduated yesterday. Congratulations to all the graduates who will graduate tonight. And yeah, man, it's simple. Life now starts. It's you know, you spent 12 years going to mandatory school, and hopefully you learn something and you're able to apply it, and hopefully that you make the right decisions going forward as an adult. You know, because I remember what I do for work. They would every once in a while have kids come through for tours and whatnot. And then when I was telling them like, yo, like y'all don't need to be here. Y'all don't ever need to be here. You know, hell, you don't even need to be in the only time you need to be in the courthouse is when you go for jury duty. Yeah. And anyway, so what I wanted to talk about in relationships was that you know everybody knows is that, but relationships are difficult. They require energy, they require thoughtfulness, they require overall just being present, right? And there's one person that I know, they broke up with their significant other, and like because they said like, oh, like we was fighting all the time and X Y and Z, and like but she made the mistake of saying like, oh well, like, oh, like like now we friends. And I'm like, nah, there's certain people that is like, take for instance my ex. She wanted to be, she wanted to remain friends and X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, nah, I can't do that, you know. And I recently ran into her Mother's Day weekend, the day before Mother's Day week, I should say. I ran into her twice, and I said, when I seen her on that Monday, I was like, okay, cool, whatever, and talked to her a little bit, and then when I seen her on Saturday, I was like, okay, I was like, all right, so let me just get this figured out, right? And so I ended up talking to her for a little bit, and I basically apologized for how shit ended, right? And I said like, hey, look, my apologies for leaving you on red. Back in December, it was immature, disrespectful, irresponsible of me to do that, and you deserved better from me. Notice the word I used, deserved, past tense. Um, and then I told her that I was in therapy, working through my issues, working through my childhood traumas, working through everything else. And she looked at me like, damn, he's actually taking the steps to get better. Like, yeah, and I said like, but all that doesn't happen without you pointing a mirror to what I got going on. You know, all that doesn't happen until you point that mirror and say like, hey, you need help with X, Y, and Z. You know, you, there's something going on with you that you ain't really want to work through, that you're not trying to work through. But you got to get it figured out. And I said, I got to give you your flowers, because if we don't happen, I don't go to therapy. And if I don't go to therapy, I don't get exposed to the shit I have to work on. Because it's one thing to be in a relationship and you got somebody telling you that cares about you. Hey, I've seen you walk around with a mask on. I've seen you hide your emotions behind this mask. I've seen you go through the motions while wearing this mask. I've seen you handle your obligations because of everything you got going on, but you haven't properly grieved your loss. And she was right, 100%. And my therapist wants for me to dive deeper into the feelings that I had for the night my brother died, and I'm like, it's been 3 weeks. Like, how long more do we have to go until I tell you what I've already told you, And it's like, I don't know what my therapist is trying to get me to go at. I don't know what she's trying to get me to unlock, But when I saw my ex that day, we had that conversation, and I thanked her. Like, there's no ill will, no bad blood. I ain't the type of nigga that hold grudges, bro. I really don't. It's like, it was what it was. Like, you really think I'm out here caring about what other people got going on? I don't. You really think I care about what other people's relationships? I don't. It's like when my ex told me once, oh, would you tell me if you was talking to, would you tell me if you was, seeing somebody new? And I'm like, yeah, if we were talking every day, I would. But I said, if we're not talking every day, then what's the point? And she was like, what? I was like, yeah, if we're not talking every day, what's the point? It's like, you're going to sit there and demand, that I tell you X, Y, and Z, who I'm talking to, and it's really none of your business. And I said, like, yeah. And I said, if we're talking every day, yeah, I would tell you, because how is that fair to to this new person, that I have this girl who I used to be intimate with, I used to be in a relationship with, is calling and texting me every day. You understand how that looks, right? It's like, I told her, I can't have my past interfere in my present because you're the past. And that's not me being a dick. That's just the reality of the situation. You know, it's like you don't get to consistently get access to me, you know, just because you want to. You know, like you don't get to consistently have access to somebody because you want to have that access. And I don't care what people say. I don't care what people think. It's like at the end of the day, like it is what it is. Um, you don't you don't string somebody along. I'm not saying that she's done that because she didn't. Or you don't play with people. You try to play with people's heads. You know, because that's not cool. Like you be upfront, you be honest, and it's like you just say what you want, and it's like majority of the time you'll get what you want. You know, it's like you don't have to sit there and lie to people. I don't understand why people lie. I really don't. And even amongst the smallest shit, it's like I've had people lie about conversations that you know involve me, and the only reason I know that the conversation involved me because this individual had told me, and I'm like, oh, is that all you guys talking about? Because I knew the other person, and then like you know the other person I was having a conversation with this individual, and this individual said, like yeah, you know that's all we talked about. Hours later goes by, and the girl that she was talking to was texting me like, oh X, Y, and Z, asking me all these specific questions, and I'm like, yo, like, why are you asking all these questions? And then she's like, oh, well, good, because we had a whole ass conversation. And one of my other homegirls was at the same place with her too, and she was like, yeah, like, whatever she told you, it wasn't the truth because like they literally sat there, had a whole conversation about you. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah. It's like, so like, you know, your homegirl is lying to you about what the fuck, you know, well, what the fuck, was said in that conversation. I was like, all right, bet, you know, but if you're gonna lie about something like that, you know, and it's like it doesn't make any sense, you know. And if people catch you continuously in lies, it's like, bro, it's like, you know, because I got a saying, it's like I may bullshit a lot with people, but I'm never gonna lie to them, you know. Like, nah, there's no reason to lie. It's like, fuck it. It's like if that's what you think, that's fine. You know, I don't live for your opinion, bro. You know, I don't have the need to like, oh my god, X, Y. Like, no, I don't give a fuck. You know, quite frankly, I don't care. You know, um, I don't get involved in other people's relationships. You know, I'll sit down, I'll counsel people and everything, but it's like, yo, after a while, it's like if we're having the same conversation, I'm gonna be like, yo, it's like, why are we still talking about the same thing? I got another saying that I have. It's like that I picked up, you know, throughout my years of being in relationships. I say like, yo, like how many times can you have the same conversation with somebody before you get tired of having the same conversation? It's like another example I'm gonna use. It's like, you know, a guy and a girl hook up, you know, and this is just hypothetically speaking, right? Like they talk about having a family, X, Y, and Z, but they live in a one bedroom apartment. And I'm like, yo, if that's the case, and if you've been doing this for years, why don't you have a bigger spot? Like, why do you talk about marriage? Why do you talk about kids? But you still haven't upgraded your lifestyle? And mind you, you know this particular person, you know they make good money, and I'm like, yo, if you're making good money, that means you should be able to set aside a particular set of amount, you know, every month, you know, whether it's $500 a month or $1,000 a paycheck or something, you know, because to me, it's like if you're making between 80 and 100 grand a year, you should be able to set aside at least 2 G's every month, you know, because you figure if you're making 100 grand a year, what? So after taxes, that's what? It's maybe 70K. And so you figure, like, if you're living in an apartment, like, you know, or your mortgage is 2 G's a month, like, so you figure if you're making 70K after taxes, that's what? Let's just say for the sake of numbers, it's like, let's say that's like, let's say that's like $6 grand a month, right? So, right, so you pay your mortgage, your or your rent, whatever. Let's say it's like 2 G's, right? Give or take, maybe 2,500. So you pay that off. You're still left over with like 3,500. So you put 1,000 in your savings. You know, you're still left over with with 2,500. You still gotta get groceries and everything. So that, let's say that's an extra 200. So you still left with 2,300. You gotta pay your utilities. So let's say that's $100 a month. So that's 20. What is that? That's 2,200. By the time you pay your bills, whatever it is, grocery shop, you're still left over with 2,200, plus the $1,000 in your savings. And let's just say you invest, right? Let's say you invest 500 a month in investments. So 250 a paycheck. So what did I say? I said that leaves you with 2,200. So you do the math. That's what, 1,950 left. Well, or maybe no, my bad, 1,050 left. So yeah. At the end of the day, it's like there's there's ways to make things work. You know, there's ways to make things work. Because that's what it takes, man. Is a you got to be smart with your money, and then it's like you have to understand it. It's like there's, and I think a lot of people, and myself included, I was financially literate, even though my parents taught me, how to save money and X, Y, and Z. I also have a saying that I found online that said, like, if you can't manage $100, what makes you think you can manage $10,000, $100,000, and so on and so on and so on. I used to have a buddy of mine, huge gambling, problem. And I was like, bro, it's like you keep making these bets, but you keep losing, my boy. And he was like, what? I was like, dog, it's like you keep thinking that you can hit big, and all you doing is digging yourself into a deeper hole. Like you keep hooking up with these random ass girls, to run from your problems. And it's like, what are you doing with that, bro? And it's like, and don't get me wrong, like the dude was a great dude, but it's like, we had a falling out, whatever it was, and I was like, yo, like you need to get it together, man, because it's like, the shit that you doing isn't fucking normal, hooking up with random girls, X, Y, and Z, yada yada yada. I mean, this nigga almost caught an STD. That's how grimy these bitches that he was fucking, that he was fucking was moving, which is crazy. And he would always brag about that shit too, and I'm like, dog, it's like life is bigger than that, my boy. He's like, what? He's like, bro, he's like, having a different girl at the crib every weekend is not the move, my man. It's not, It's like, like take time to actually build those connections and those relationships, bro. And it's like I was telling this one bull that I work with, and I was like, and he was like, yeah, like me and this girl had gone out twice. I'm going on a trip, whatever it is, and when I come back, she got date number 3 scheduled. I'm like, okay, cool. But I was like, yo, you might want to sit down with Shorty and like have a conversation with her. He's like, what you mean? Because I was like, you might be moving a little bit too quick, dog. It's been 2 weeks and you've already been out 3 times, or you gonna be out 3 times? It's like, yeah. It's like, bro, like you can slow down a little bit, bro. like pump your brakes, and that's what that is, man. It's like a lot of people don't they want to move so quickly, and me too, I'm not gonna sit there and say that I haven't moved quickly, but most of the time, man, it's like people want to say that I move quickly, but it's like, in reality, it's like, if we've been building a connection for the last couple months, whatever it is, you know, I'm gonna tighten up the pressure a little bit. I'm gonna make it known, okay, that like this is what I want. Boom, 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 and it's like my massage therapist was asking me yesterday. She's like, oh, so what do you look like for in a girl, in a woman? I said, oh, you know what? She got to be smart. She got to be driven. She got to have her own goals. She has to be, you know, not afraid of failure. She has to be self confident and have self esteem because it's like, granted, it's like I've dated girls who don't have high self esteem or high self confidence, and after a while, it gets draining to deal with that because you're constantly reassuring them doing X, Y, and Z, and it's like, bro, it's not my job. As fucking as dickheadish as that sounds, is true. It's like, it's not my job to sit there and build you up. It's not my job to be like, oh yeah, baby, it's whatever, boom, 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 boom. It's like, yeah, I don't mind doing that, every once in a great while, whatever it is. But if you're constantly doing that, if you're constantly building somebody up, and it's like after a while, it's like, the fuck, what the fuck? Like, how did you get this far in life and not have any confidence? You know? That's why, like, with certain people, I kind of just leave them alone because it's like, there's no point. It's like that one girl, I think it was sometime last year. Uh, yeah, it was sometime last year. And so I knew her from the gym, and I ran into her someplace. I think I ran into I think I ran into her at the grocery store one day, and she was cute. I know I was good looking. I know I'm good looking. I got about 15, 20 pounds to lose, but brother got confidence, right? So, so we sitting there rapping in the store and everything too, and I was like, and so I remember leaving the grocery store, and I forgot to pick up onions. And so I went back inside and go grab onions. And so I went back to the checkout, and Shorty was in the same section. So I walked up to her and I told her, hey, what's up? I said, oh, and she's like, why are you still here? I was like, yo, well, I forgot a few things. It's like, oh, well, what did you forget? I was like, oh, I had to go pick up some onions, and I gotta get your phone number. And she was like, wait, what? I was like, yeah. Let me get your number, So I got a number, text her for a little bit, communication kind of died down for like a week, whatever it is. And so at that particular time, I already knew that she wasn't interested, right? And so, because why would the conversation just die out? And so, about a week goes by, maybe a week and a half. So I texted something. I asked her what her zodiac sign was, whatever, and she told me what it was. And I said, oh, so we might be compatible. What's your availability like this week? And she goes, oh, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not interested in, I'm not interested in dating you, even though you do seem nice, whatever it is. Okay, cool, whatever. I just wanted to test the waters, but I kind of already knew what the deal was, right? And that wasn't the crazy part, bro. The crazy part was the very next morning, I'm on the phone with one of my homegirls, and she texts me apologizing, talking about, well, I didn't mean for that to come off mean or rude. I'm just not looking for anything right now. I'm like, that's what killed it, bro. Because I'm like, you already said you wasn't interested. It's cool. Because it really was, Like, I'm not going to sit there and get upset, get mad. For what? There's no point. And number one, because I didn't text back the first time, when she shot me down, and I didn't text back, the second time that she hit me up, and I'm like, there's no point. Like, why would I text you? You don't want to date me. It's cool, I don't want to be friends with you. I want to be, I want to date you. I want to get to know you. So a couple months goes by, and I'm looking to my text messages. I'm like, text messages, and I'm like, oh shit. I didn't know. I forgot that I didn't respond to her. So I responded to her, and I said, like, look, my apologies, whatever it is, whoop de whoop. But I said, I wasn't planning on taking myself off the market, the free agency market. I just wanted to get to know you on a more personable level. Thank you for not wasting my time, and hopefully the new year's treating you well. And that was that. And I think, I'm not expecting a text back or whatever it is, but it's like at the same time, it's like I'm gonna be an adult about my shit and keep it moving. Like I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh boy, she don't like me. Like man, there's 8 billion, 8 some odd billion people in this world. Some like 60% of them people are women. Don't trip on one. Say, bro, it's like go book that flight, go do whatever you gotta do. You know what I mean? It's like go live your life, bro. Cause hey, you never know. The love of your life, man, might live in a different city, might live in a different country. Who the fuck knows, right? And that's true too, because it's like I was talking to somebody about men and modern dating, and I was like, bro, you realize that all these women want X, Y, and Z, but yet they want a lifestyle that they can't attain. Like they want somebody like Klay Thompson to basically, to shower them with money and gifts and houses and all kinds of crazy shit. Bro, the average American man is making between 50K and 100K a year. The top type of men who are making over 100 grand a year, bro, that's like something like 8% of the population or whatever the fuck it is. Of like 390 million Americans. 8% of people make over 100 grand a year, whatever the fuck. I think that's the number. It's either 6 or 8%. I'm not sure. And I look it down like, bro, it's like, I remember I was dealing with this one girl. She wanted me to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, yo, like, how you gonna ask me to like fund your lifestyle in terms of hair and nails? And it's like you can't even get that yourself. You can't even do personal upkeep yourself. Like that's sad, bro. That is extremely fucking sad. I don't care what people say. It's like, yo, it's like that shit is just fucking sad. Like there's nothing cute about that, Like there's nothing about that like there's nothing about that tells us that you're able to, be in a doubt about something and like handle that shit. Because it's true. Because it's like if you can't afford to upkeep yourself by yourself, why the fuck would somebody else want that liability for themselves? And a lot of people don't understand that. Like they think like, oh yeah, it's X, Y, and Z, yada yada yada. I'm like, no, it's like I can understand if it's your birthday, whatever it is, or Christmas, whatever the fuck it is, or anniversary. I have no problem doing that. Like, oh yeah, baby, go ahead, do your thing, I got it. But to ask somebody to do bi-weekly or weekly fucking maintenance for you is like, yo, that's fucking wild, bro. Get the fuck out of here with that. And it's like, and one of my homegirls last night, and she goes, and she told me like, yeah, like all the girls you always end up with, they're always fucking book smart, but a lot of them lack the common sense. I'm like, but I was like, no, you can teach common sense through experience. The problem is that a lot of the girls I date, like they don't have, they have the book smarts, but they don't have the experience. And she's like, what? It's like, yeah, it's like think about it. Like most girls who are book smart or who are driven, they lack the experience in other areas, right? Or they, like I know they like me, but they don't know how to converse with me. You know what I mean? It's like, or like, or like some girls get so skittish that they don't, I get numbers and I'm like, I strike out more than I fucking hit, bro. Yeah. People are like, what? I'm like, yeah, I strike out more than I hit, And I think that's crazy that like a lot of people, like they get rejected. They're like, well, I'm never doing that. Like, why the fuck not? Like you have a blueprint of what not to do. It's like how guys just say, like, oh, I'll never date a woman with kids. I'm like, nah, bro. The older you get, the higher probability that somebody is gonna have a kid. Like The only time that's not gonna happen is that like if you're in college. But if you 30 plus, he's like you're gonna run into people that have a kid, or kids at different ages, you know. And then like you have to be willing to deal with that, and you have to be willing to step into a situation, and be like, okay, like this is what it is, because it's bigger than you and her. It's bigger than the situation. It's like what matters now is is that kid or those kids. And I think a lot of people will sit there and be like, oh, well, X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. This shit is difficult. It's like, yeah, you think this shit's going to be easy, boy? Like, my boy, it's not, you know? And I think that's where a lot of people get it screwed up at. I think that's where, like I said in the very beginning, man, it's like relationships are difficult. They require effort. They require you being present. They require you being held accountable for the shit that you do. And sometimes, man, it's like apologies, for your behavior is that. That's that. I'm a strong component. Is like, because one of my coworkers was talking about, like, oh, well, she's like, oh, sometimes you gotta apologize just to keep the peace. It's like, not if you did nothing wrong. Like you can apologize for your behavior, but to take accountability for somebody else's bullshit, no. And because the whole conversation was with another coworker, and and that person was telling us X, Y, and Z. His girlfriend was giving the silent treatment. I'm like, bro, it's like, and it's like, and that's when he said, oh, because I'm always the one apologizing, and I'm like, then stop apologizing, bro. If you feel you done nothing wrong, then stop apologizing. And if she expects you to apologize, bro, then you need to leave that situation alone. You need to end that relationship, bro, because it's like that shows me right there that individual is never going to take responsibility for her actions, man. And I don't care who you are. After a while, you get tired of being blamed for shit that you're not doing. Like, who wants to get constantly blamed for something that they're not even fucking doing? Consistently taking a blame and taking accountability while the other person skates by is not a relationship, bro. And that's manipulation, And I think when a lot of people, when they realize that, they're like, damn, it's like, yeah. I was like, bro, it's like, you just have to be smart enough to, and be savvy enough to realize that this is the situation, this is what it is, and keep it moving. Like, stop thinking that, like, oh, well, it's X, Y, and Z, when it's really not, bro. It's really not. It's not that difficult. It's not that deep. And when I say it's not that deep, it's like, I'm not saying disregard their feelings or disregard your feelings and just, say fuck it. But at the same time, it's the principle of the matter, right? And if they can't take accountability for what they've done or what they got going on, bro, what makes you think they're gonna take accountability when it comes to you guys? When it comes to your relationship, they're not gonna do that. They're gonna do everything else but that. And you might, and you yourself deserve better than that, bro. Because constantly apologizing for shit that you ain't fucking do, no, my nigga, we ain't doing that. I haven't done that since 2009, my man, and I'm not gonna start now. I mean, it's like you want me to apologize for you losing your cool, for you saying the shit that you said to me, must be out of your fucking mind. But then again, maybe that's why I'm single, man, because I refuse to go back and forth with somebody and like create a toxic situation, man. It's just not in my nature. It's not. All right, y'all, this is 34 minutes of your life that y'all won't get back. Hope y'all keeping the 4 Ps, private player, positive pushing. I'll see y'all next week, Sunday. And like I say, know your worth, know your worth because you're better than what you are. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Have a good weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend, too. All right, y'all. Peace.